county clerk and local politicians, police officers, judges, IRS and Treasury agents, civil rights activists, government or corporate whistleblowers. And then one thing David Lawson makes clear in describing the targets is that the ultimate goal of the group is to destroy the targets. Those who have been stalked by organized citizen groups, which are fed lies, report that these groups do destroy targets with great efficiency. Next, let's look at some of the typical operations these groups carry out. Here I have obtained a number of quotes from the original book because I feel they state the situation as well or better than the new book. The first step after a target has been selected is to establish a personality profile, which will involve an assessment of IQ, personality type, and history. A target may also notice being photographed. From his book, The Terrorism, Stalking in America, he says the primary characteristic of cause stalking is that it is done by large groups of people. A target will always be followed, but he is unlikely to see the same stalkers very often. In my particular case, I've always assumed that there was someone via GPS technology or what have you keeping tabs of where I am. And for the stunt that I've described often, where I could drive from one end of Orange County, California to the other, it's safe to assume that there was some sort of GPS tracking technology to be able to go from one end of Orange County to the other and not see a police vehicle anywhere near you. It implies that, and especially when you consider that I was involved in the GPS business, in the GPS tracking business, ironically. Quite literally, I was working on the police surveillance state, and the surveillance state turned on me, essentially. Many of these groups include hundreds of people. Some authors refer to cause stalking as terrorist stalking. Groups do not just stalk individuals, they employ organized programs of harassment, which include break-ins, property damage, yes, assault, and occasionally even death, yes. The children of target are a favorite. My wife and I don't have children. Again, from the terrorist stalking in America, firemen across the country and even some police departments have a long history of supporting extremist groups. Fire trucks can sometimes be seen riding in extremist convoys with their flashing lights turned on and their sirens screaming. They will also race to greet a convoy which is entering their town. The participation of firemen, city workers, and utility company workers helps give group members an illusion of legitimacy and power. And the way I've always liked to look at it is to remember that scene from The Wizard of Oz where behind all that bravado and bloviating was this little jerk of a munchkin pulling all the strings. We also have here from Terrorist Stalking in America, city employees can be used to harass a target in many ways, including tearing up the road in front of the target's home. Employees of pest control businesses who have access to the keys for apartments and those who work for alarm and locksmith companies are also of interest. And I'll reference you to those videos that I've talked about with the pest control trucks. That was a favorite technique, especially in Garden Grove. And the most disgusting example was the video I showed you a couple of videos ago when I was at the gathering of the mothers on Anna Drive near La Palma, and there was that pest control truck. So again, I'm reading this website page and I read this and my jaw just drops. And it's just an absolute and utter confirmation of a bunch of stuff that I've put up on video so far. So I refer you to the video from a couple of videos ago of the Anna Drive December 2nd gathering. Again, from Terrorist Stalking in America, groups also attack targets of convenience. These people are selected because they are convenient targets, not for any other reason. These include loners who tend to be more vulnerable to their harassment tactics than those with family and friends around them. Targets of convenience are used for practice. In my particular case, when this criminal act occurred, I was basically, though my brother was living in this home of ours, my parents was in New York. I had cousins here, but we really never really had a real family relationship. So, and I wasn't the type of person, I'd never been the type of person to have hundreds of friends around me, etc., etc. So I wasn't the most social bumblebee in Orange County, let me put it to you that way. So you could in some ways describe me as a loner in and around the time that this started. I've subsequent to this have gotten married and what have you, and so, and that's why I consider my wife not only my wife, but I consider her literally a miracle, because in the middle of this hellish garbage, I managed to marry the most wonderful woman you could have, and a extremely strong woman. Continuing on, terrorist stalking in America. In order to establish bases of operations, they will enlist the assistance of neighbors. In many areas, they can do this by intimidation. Those who do not cooperate can be targeted, which includes harassment of their families and damage to their homes and vehicles. And now you know why, if you've been following along with my videos, why I refer to my former home in Garden Grove as Hell House. It's right there in this website. Just read what it says about what neighbors are employed to do, and you'll get a good idea now of what I mean by Hell House, my former Garden Grove home. If they are dealing with individuals who do not know them, they can appeal to their sense of patriotism, and they can offer drugs, friendship, home repair, free taxi rides, and whatever else they have to. In some cases, they may be able to get a key to the residence from a patriotic landlord. I've always gotten the impression that the people that are employed in harassing me in the past and currently, I get a sense that they're mostly people that have been in court or entrapped in some sort of criminal activity. That's just my take on it. But if they are being paid as well, then that just makes it that much more disgusting. And mind you, this occurred before September 11th. So the fact that it continued after September 11th, just as if it needs an additional layer of disgusting, factor that in. Again, from the book Terrorist Stalking in America. Surveillance is conducted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can confirm that. When a target leaves his residence, they will alert the group either by cell phone, businessman radio. Other members who are patrolling the perimeter to watch for police and other vehicles driving in the area will race to the location to begin pursuit. In small towns where businessman radio is widely used, these activities are a local sport among a small group. Anyone with a scanner can join in. Some targets have reported hearing an announcement on their scanner as soon as they turn their lights on in the morning. Again, from the book Terrorist Stalking in America. In a typical apartment setting, they will attempt to lease, sublet, or otherwise have access to apartments above, below, and on both sides of the target. Yes, Garden Grove Hell House. They will also guard the vehicles of a target in the parking lot. Again, from the same book, the target flushes a toilet. He may hear a car horn honk, the sound of power tool or hammering, for example. There will also be a large number of people coming and going, and accompanying rowdiness and noise. Yes, etc. Again, terrorist stalking, same book. A common ruse used by these groups is that they are citizens groups which assist the police, and they just keep in track of a certain individual, for whatever reason. The illusion is reinforced by the case files they carry, which are complete with photos of the target and look like those used by police. During a search of the target's home or apartment, members who are on patrol anyway establish a perimeter around the residence to watch for police vehicles. In the apartment setting, entry will likely be gained through a member of the janitorial service, pest control, or alarm technician, since they have a right to enter. They may even be able to approach a landlord and gain his cooperation after convincing him of their higher purpose. He may also cooperate out of fear. Now I've got questions for the condominium association where we owned our home regarding this. I have questions for the apartment complex when we lived in Anaheim Hills regarding this, as well as this current apartment complex where we currently reside. And on this, I refer you to the security guard videos we've had uploaded. Again, from terrorist stalking in America, others do not recognize that they are being harassed by an organized crew. They just think that there are a lot of rude people in the world. Interception of mail is standard practice. Typically, targets notice that their mail is arriving late or they do not receive certain pieces. Targets may overhear people at a nearby table in a restaurant talking about certain mail and realize it's theirs, or someone may drive by the target waving their mail at them. This is why when I've sent out emails to this police department and Loretta Sanchez and others, I've told them not to bother sending me anything via the mail, because more than likely won't make it if it's anything of value, especially anything along the lines of come on down, we're gonna help. Again, continuing on, interception of phone calls is also standard practice. This is done by telephone company employees who support the stalking group for ideological reasons or because they attain some benefit. And then Eleanor White makes the comment, I'd add to that one of the most likely reasons because the phone technicians are told lies about the target. And I refer you again to my former co-worker. Okay, an objective is to isolate the target from his family and friends. He can tell them about all the strange things happening around him, but they will not understand and perhaps will think he's crazy. Sometimes other members of the family will receive the same treatment. So I brought this up to my brother, and he can recount story after story of strange stuff that occurred with him. And there's all sorts of stuff that my wife is a witness to, especially now. Especially how we can drive from one end of Orange County to the other and not see any police vehicles immediately to our left and right, etc., etc. She was a witness to this Long Beach police officer who pulls in front of us without her sirens on the day we were going to celebrate our 15th wedding anniversary at the Long Beach Theater area, and a whole bunch of other interesting scenes. When the target is driving, standard practice is to surround his vehicle and attempt to control his speed. He will not be followed in close proximity by the same vehicles for a long distance. They do frequent trade-offs. Vehicles line up behind the targets to take their turn. Been there, done that, seen that. In many parts of the country, it is common to see groups of 6 to 30 or more vehicles driving around in convoys with their high beams on during the day. This is one of the ways a convoy can be identified. Standard practice is to watch a target's vehicle and its subjects, and this subjects them to damage, including slashed tires, scratched paint, stolen plates. Typically, they would not cut the brake lines on vehicles or commit other similar acts of sabotage, but they drain the oil or antifreeze, etc., etc. In my particular case, my green Toyota Camry, the tires have been punctured, and then to make it certain that I didn't think it was a random thing, another tire on the other side would be punctured a week later or so, whatever, just to kind of drive home the point. I go out to my car as it's parked in the STSS parking lot, and